Everyone, my name is Patrick Aaron. Alongside me is Dr. Anthony Lupo. Dr. Lupo, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well for early spring and ready to talk about summer.
Yeah, we spoke a few months ago about the winter outlook. So to get things started with, how exactly has that gone so far?
Well, we projected that winter would be about 1.5 to 3 degrees above normal. And so far we're running, the season ending on the 28th of February, we're running just about 4 over normal. So we had the right direction. We just weren't bold enough. Precipitation wise, we're right in where we thought we'd be, although we didn't get as much snow as I thought. But I think most of our listeners would be glad to hear that.
Yeah, it's something I've definitely noticed. A lot. It feels like a lot less snow than the last few years.
Absolutely. The last few years we've had close to 25, 30 inches, which is above our normal. But this year has certainly been a return to lower values. I think in Columbia we've got about 7.1 for the winter so far.
So when you're putting together this summer outlook, is it a different kind of build up than preparing the winter one?
In a way, it is very different because with the winter forecast, you're going to be dealing with either El Nino, La Nina, or a neutral condition in the Pacific, and those conditions are going to be well established. The problem with summer is that traditionally that's the season for transition from one phase to another. And so when we looked at our summer data, what we did is we said, let's not just look at weather by phase of El Nino, La Nina, neutral. Let's look at the direction of the transition, whether you're heading toward El Nino or toward La Nina, and the statistics are very different. And so that helps to guide our forecast.
And more specifically, just when does the summer outlook start? Like, is there a certain month, is a certain day, or is it just right when summer begins?
Generally, when I issue an outlook, I'm going to verify it against the climatological season. So winter starts December 1st, ends February 28th. Summer begins June 1st, but ends August 31st. However, with the winter or summer season, the two solstice seasons, the conditions that prevail during that season will either begin early or end late. So they'll continue into or those conditions should bleed into the seasons in front and in back of them, which is why we don't always make a forecast for spring or fall.
So I say, because given how, of course, Missouri springs, or that little difference, that changing time between winter and spring here is so complicated, to say the least.
Oh, absolutely. The transition from a warm season to a cold, or a cold season to a warm, is very difficult. Any kind of transition is the most difficult to predict in the weather game.
So looking into the summer, I know a lot of people are going to be having questions about droughts. What are we thinking so far?
Well, last year we did see a drought. The drought of 2022 was just about as bad as the drought of 2012, at least for Missouri. I think the thing that distinguished 2012 apart from 2022 is that 2012 was more widespread. It was more severe and more widespread in the areas around us. But for Missouri, 2022 and 2012 are pretty similar. This year, I've got good news, and that is that we would expect, especially as we're transitioning from La Nina, and it looks like we're going to get into at least neutral conditions by fall, maybe even El Nino conditions. And when you get the transition toward El Nino, those are agriculturally favorable summers. They tend to be milder. You tend to get rain at more even intervals. In other words, we're not going to get the big gully washer, then it'll be dry for 6 weeks, and then another gully washer. usually El Nino summers are fairly regular. So agriculturally speaking, I'm predicting a fairly good summer.
Which is always good to hear, especially after going through everything that was last year.
Yes, yes, and historically, extended La Ninas, and again, we've been stuck in this La Nina three-peat, if you will. We had La Nina for 3 straight years, which we detailed for our winter forecast. But I think we're finally starting to get out of that. And statistically, that again favors those better agricultural seasons.
And looking into more temperature wise, this is going to be a milder summer, or are we going to still see those periods of very hot days?
Well, in Missouri, you never escape the discomfort, if you will. If it's hot and it's not as humid, it's still very hot, and that can be uncomfortable. The thing about milder summers is that you'll tend to see lower temperatures in the day, but higher humidities, which is higher heat indexes. So one way or another, we're going to be uncomfortable for periods of time this summer, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as the previous two. And I really think that we're looking at temperatures being within a degree of normal, which would be just a little bit above average, but within a degree of average. So that would be something that we would call a typical summer.
Which is all I'm hearing. A lot of good news going into this year.
Oh yeah, I've been touring the state giving out this forecast, and I think folks who are engaged in agriculture have been glad to hear it. So,
Is there any other certain metrics you else you look at into this summer outlook besides just temperature and rainfall totals?
yeah, with the rainfall totals, and we haven't talked about that too much yet, but with the rainfall totals, again, I think we'll see that rain on a more regular basis. And for Missouri, we average about 12 to 14 inches of rain, except down toward the boot heel, it's closer to 20. I think we'll be within about an inch or two of normal, but above normal. So I'm actually thinking it'll be a decent summer.
Okay. And is there anything else you would like to add on that we have not touched upon already?
Probably, I would say that the biggest hazards for summer, of course, are heat, heat poisoning, or heat stroke, or heat stress, and that's going to occur when you've been working hard. And so, if you're out in the sun and your work takes you out in the sun, make sure you take breaks. Make sure that you're drinking a lot. And if you do feel like you might be overheating, get out and get into the shade. And of course, it's these nighttime temperatures, it's the warmer nighttime temperatures that can be more of a problem for the elderly. So if you have elderly friends or family and their AC or their fans are not the best, make sure you're checking on them, or encourage them to stay over with you if it's hot and you got decent AC. Because again, it's those nighttime temperatures that are the most problematic for human health. So that's just some heat safety tips, and hopefully everyone has a good summer.
All right. Well, what you said, it looks like it will be a good summer for a lot of people, especially those in agriculture. 'Cause that's the most.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And I think last year we were making a similar forecast because it is unusual for La Nina to have 2 in a row, much less 3 in a row. Mother Nature threw us a curve last year. In the written or in the recorded history, we've never seen 4 straight years of La Nina. So let's hope this is not a first.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on today and speaking about your summer outlook. We will be doing this again come next fall.
Absolutely. I look forward to giving the outlook, and I hope everyone enjoys their summer.
All right. For Dr. Anthony Lupo, I'm Patrick Arian. Thanks for watching.